I've loaded my pyramid panel into this project, but there is no way that I'm aware of to actually add it into an existing storefront. So we have to create a mass first, and then we can divide the surface of the mass and put it in that way. But before I do that, also just to load it in, all you need to do is have it open here and load into project and close. But before I do that, something's bugging me about this, and that's this gap. I'm going to fix this gap. We don't really need that kind of room. Typically, you're going to have just enough room for the hardware and then a small bit of sealant to cover that small crack. So I'm going to pick the curtain wall system. Let's see if it'll let me move it from here. All right, great. And now I want to move that hardware as well. So I'm going to go to wireframe. And I want to make sure it's just my model group. Bring that in here. I'm going to do that for every level. Again, just making sure I filter out anything other than the model group. Last one. Oh. All right, there, now I can move on. So I need to establish another reference plane to know where to draw my mass. And our catwalk has to be a minimum of 18 inches. What happened to my reference? That disappeared. Okay, that's fine. 18 inches. And so my frame, if we look at this thing here, this is 4 inches. So that's 8 plus 18. And then the mullions I made for my custom one, that'd be out here, were 4 inches. So I need a reference line that's far enough away from the edge. And unlike the first one where it's drawing from the center line, because we're placing it on the mass, we don't do half of the mullion, we do the full one. So I've got 6 plus 18. So I've got to do 22 inches from the edge. Wait, no, sorry. 8 plus 18 plus 4. Let me get my math right. And yours might be different depending on how you built yours. So I need mine 30 inches away from the edge. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to make a reference plane. And right now I'm going to draw it right on the edge. And I'm going to name it double skin. And then we're just going to move it 30 inches. I should have gone a little further out with it, but there we go. Say move 30 inches. All right, so now it's out here. I don't want it to be buried underneath. Well, I'm not really going to need it after that. But because I designed my custom one with the mullions going outside of all the reference planes, if I draw it to the edge here, it's going to come 2 inches past. So I need it to end at the inside of this when I draw my mass, and then that'll make up for it. So I'm just going to give myself a model line so I know where to stop. Same thing on this side, and we'll have to factor that in top and bottom as well. So now I know where I can put my mass. I'm going to show you in case you wanted to do an organic kind of shape. You just have to keep in mind that this is your minimum distance. So if you wanted to do something that kind of was wavy outside of that, as long as you can connect in at least 3 places, it should work. In theory, I'll show you what it looks like though. So I'm going to draw one from the midline here. And now I'm going to come into massing and sight, in place mass. And I'm going to go to spline. I'm going to start here. Maybe something not quite so harsh. And then you don't want to actually snap here because as you come back out, it's going to adjust some more. So I'm going to snap a little early. I'm going to click again right there. Click one more time over here. And now I have a better chance of it actually being where I want when I'm done. All right, I'm going to click enter. And yeah, it's where I want it now. Alright, before I click Finish Mass, I'm going to come into 3D. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to say Create Solid Form. And now you can see it's this tiny thing, but I can click here. And I can drag towards the top. So again, we got that 2 inches. Plus we want to leave this top bit for ventilation purposes. So I would want to end this right around here. Unfortunately, because we've made a more organic shape, it's not going to snap. If this was just a straight line, it would actually snap to that bottom mullion. Same thing down here. I'm going to have an extra 2 inches, but I want all this for ventilation, so I'm actually going to come up to the top here. And now, if I click on the actual face, you can see divide surface comes up. And our vertical grid right now is set to 10, but our main curtain panels only have 6. So I'm going to change that to 6. So that's the V grid, that's the verticals, and then the U grid would be, well, yeah, so the U grid's the other direction. It's still not going to be perfect because, again, we have a wavy form. If this was just a straight line, every single one of these would line up right at the midpoint. And now it is currently says no pattern. I'm going to go ahead and use the drop down. I'm going to find my pyramid curtain panel. You can see it went on the other side. Unfortunately, unlike regular curtain walls, there's not the little arrow to switch direction here. You have to come over into properties and you have to say component flip. Click apply. And now they're facing the right direction. They look a little funky, but more importantly, if I come into the top section, I'm going to have some really difficult connections here because I'm going to be coming out straight. I've got this angle here. It's not that I can't do it, but it's a little harder. So I would suggest if you're going to do something more organic with your mass, that you do something a lot simpler with your panel. So I'm going to click finish for now. And now I'm just going to delete the whole thing. Alright, now I'm going to redo it, but this time just with a straight line. So I'm going to come into massing in sight, in place mass. Going to draw a straight line. Same issues as far as the 2 inches. And you might be tempted to say, well, I don't want to use the shape handles, I want to come drag it all the way up. But what can happen is Revit can misinterpret multiple lines and create a big circle around the building. So unfortunately, the most reliable way is just to click on it, say create solid form. And now you'll see, because it's straight, at least it will snap into place. So I'm leaving all that bit up top for ventilation. I'm going to have an extra 2 inches because of how I designed it, so I'm going there. Alright. And now we're going to do the same process. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to divide the surface. And I want to make sure at least these are lined up. So before I switch patterns, I'm going to change my V-grid to 6. Now I've got the same number of panels in that direction. And it won't matter, like, if you've done a pyramid or a hexagon, that's going to be a lot less important than if you have 2 kind of rectangular based systems. And when we designed this, it was designed as a square. So the more we change the U-grid, the more distortion is going to happen when your object gets applied here. Alright, and once again, it is flipped. So I have to do this. I click OK. I'm going to look at it from level 0, and you can see, yeah, because I stopped it here, this mullion has come out another 2 inches and is lined up here. Same here. And now if I come to the front view, same thing on top and bottom. But you can also see we have some, oh no, we don't. Okay. So what happened here is it saved something I had done that you're probably going to have to do. So odds are some of these mullions are going to be stuck halfway. So I'm going to show you how you would do it. So I'm just going to filter, make sure it's just, okay, that's good. You got to make sure it's unpinned, and then you can say move. So right now I'm going to move it just to some random position. So yours is probably going to look like this. And if you come to the front view, you know, you don't really want to see random other grids behind it. We want to hide as many of those as we can behind the second facade. So I'm going to come in again, going to highlight it. You got to make sure it's unpinned. I can tell it already is here because it's grayed out. I can use move, and I don't need to create a model line because it's going to be constrained to the wall it's from. I can come all the way out here with my cursor, find this midpoint that I want, and it'll move. So you'll do that for any of the strays. I had one down here, I had one up here, so I had to move one row of mullions on each level. Unfortunately, it's saved from a prior attempt. And so that's really the start of this. I'm going to stop this one here just to keep the videos shorter and broken up. And then I'll start it up again and we'll deal with the frame that connects the two, the operable louvers, the flashing, all that stuff.